They're either going to run or attack. Goats are natural. This is all part of animal husbandry. It started a long time ago. It started in Africa. Also, the white potato, the brown potato, are also crossbreeds or hybrids. They're high in carbonic acid. Carbonic acid will burn a hole in this floor. Some of you call it starch. If you look at the stories of Sir Walter Raleigh, you will hear about him bringing the potato, the purple potato, and the red potato from South and Central America, because the Irish were starving at one point. They put this red potato or the purple potato in the soil and it would not grow. So they had to manipulate the soil and manipulate the plant to cause it to grow in that cold environment, because the potato grew in the tropics and in the subtropics. The result was the white potato or potato and the brown potato, and it was big and it had lots of starch. The carrot was made by the Dutch. And as far as our research takes us, we believe that it's a wild yam and the Queen Anne lace crossed together. Because, see, they needed more vitamin A up in those parts of the world of Europe. They were having night vision problems. They needed more beta-carotene. Well, the yam has it naturally, but it wouldn't grow in the soil in Europe. So you find a plant that grows in Europe and you cross it with a plant that grows somewhere else, you have a hybrid. You may think that that plant is better than the originals, but it is not. And whenever you hybridize or crossbreed something, you have something that doesn't fit in the natural ecological niche of the Creator's world. It takes away either from you or from the planet itself. One of the biggest contributors to pollution in the world is the dairy cows. Because when they leave their leavings, or droppings, they emit methane gas. And there was a thing in a newspaper not long ago that said that the #1 problem with the ozone layer started with cows. And then it was automobiles and industry. Because they're not natural. If they're destroying the environment of the planet, what do you think they're doing to the environment of your body? Now we add in chemicals to make these animals grow faster. Many of them, they give hormones. Female growing hormones, or many different types of estrogens. They make the cow grow, like, instead of taking 2 years to grow full size, you may come back in 2-3 months and you got a full-grown cow. 6 months at the outside, and the cow's huge. But now they want the cow to make more milk. First of all, to milk the cows, they got to keep the cows in a perpetual state of pregnancy. How you do that, I'm not sure. But when there's a will, there's a what? A way. When there's money involved, we find a way as humans. And that's our problem. So they gave the cows something called recombinant bovine growth hormone. They took 2 types of E. coli. Now, E. coli is a bacteria that only lives in what? Feces. It lives in the bowel, in the gut of the animal. From what I understand, in a book called Milk, the Deadly Poison, they say they took human E. coli, bovine E. coli, crossed them together. It came up with recombinant bovine growth hormone. And this was in every newspaper. about 2 years ago. They told you what was happening. They didn't lie to you. They didn't cheat you. You did not look at it because you're being reactive and not proactive. Because when you're reactive, sometimes you see things, but I don't want to deal with that. When you're proactive, you're always looking for more information to increase your circle of knowledge. They were supposed to put a label on the milk warning you if it had recombinant bovine growth hormone. I have not seen it on the milk products yet. Because, see, these people are very heavy people. You're talking about gangsters. These people are powerful when it comes down to money. Then they give these animals antibiotics. Because if one animal on that farm gets sick, almost all of them could die. So some smart person will say, I was going to use another word, but we're on tape. Some smart person came up with the idea of giving the animals antibiotics. That's okay for the animals, but then you eat the flesh, which has the antibiotic in it. Now you're rushed to the hospital with a problem where you need an antibiotic. Well, it may not work because you have been on antibiotics as long as you've been eating those foods. So they may have to give you 100 antibiotics before they find one that works. And by that time, everything else in your body is burned up. Oh, you know, you're not going to make it, but we found an antibiotic that may work. You're going to need to be in the hospital another 6 months. And you believe in the doctor. But you just didn't ask the question, what have you cured, Mr. Doctor? I asked my doctor, what do you do? He says, I practice medicine. I said, really? My brother's a mechanic. If he practices working on people's cars, I don't think he'd be in business long at all. In fact, he'd end up probably in the hospital. He says, well, you know, we maintain illness. Keep. You keep illness? Maintain illness, huh? Does that sound healthy, y'all? Well, what we do is we treat disease. When my doctor told me that, I had to find my clothes. Where's my clothes? It's time to put your clothes on at that point. You treat the disease? Doesn't that sound like you're giving the disease a gift, giving it what it needs to grow and proliferate? How sound is your science? How sound is your studies of the human body? They keep telling me now that they finally cracked the human genome. This is the big thing. Oh, they know all the hormones. They know all the DNA. They know how God made people. No, you are not the creator. And what are they going to do when they figure out all the genes? What are they going to do with it? Everything else they found out about, they use for war. They use to make more money. And since you're doing the genome project, let's check the genes of these chickens. Throw a cow up under the microscope and do whatever you do. And let the people know what's really happening, how those genes affect their genes. They say, well, you know, certain people are predestined for certain illnesses. Well, they are. Look what they're eating. Well, Dr. B, you know, cancer runs in my family. It runs in mine, too, but I won't get it. Because I'm not eating the foods that have cancer in them. Things that run in a lot of people's families. Now, there's some things that are genetic. But a lot of this stuff comes from what you eat. You're eating what your parents ate, and they're eating what their parents eat. The cow that your great-grandmother ate is not the same cow you're eating now. Don't believe nothing I'm telling you. Go do your own research. I could be crazy. I could be a maniac. When I went to the chicken farm, that could have blown my mind, and I have a tremor in my brain, maybe. Something's not working correct. My screws may not be locked down tight. So you can do your own research and not believe in anything. Believe means to follow blindly, to go along with. But when you stand on a firm ground of truth and reality and facts, then you can move forward. Find out what you're putting in your body before you put it in there. And when you feed the children, you really need to be reading these labels. You feed the children some garbage. I mean, you hear about recalls on baby food all the time. I remember when they recalled, I don't want to say the company, but they recalled a company's carrots. They had carrots or something. It was carrots that somebody stuck in a blender and sold to you. You couldn't stick some carrots in your blender and feed it to your baby? Or throw an apple in the blender? You couldn't do that. Laziness. Laziness. We want everything given to us. Well, Dr. B, what about the microwave? Listen to the name, lady. Microwave. Lady told me the other day, she said she got rid of her cell phone because of the microwaves. Then I heard this little teet. She was on the phone. I heard this teet. I said, what's that sound in the background? Oh, I'm microwaving my dinner. But you got rid of your cell phone because of what they said on television, but you're using the microwave of it. They mentioned to you that the cell phones might cause cancer, but they didn't tell you that the food that you were eating could cause cancer. Come and tell us the truth. There's an article that everybody needs to know about. This article was in the Whole Life Times. I don't see the month. Here it is, January 2000 issue. It's a free magazine. And it says here, the Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine is suing the U.S. Department of Agriculture, the USDA, and the Department of Health and Human Resources, or Human Services, for what it claims are racially biased U.S. dietary guidelines. Did y'all know about this? It was public knowledge. These guidelines, along with the Food Guide Pyramid, provide nutritional advice for all Americans and form the basis of all federal food programs like the National School Lunch Program. The PCRM is calling on the USDA to make dietary products optional rather than required, as lactose intolerance is common among minorities. PCRM is also suing the government for appointing a dietary advisory panel that ignores the needs of minority Americans and is beset by conflict of interest. At least 6 of the 11 dietary advisory committee members have or have had ties with meat, egg, and dairy industries. It charges, in quotations, having people with ties to the meat, dairy, and egg industries on the very panel that is supposed to decide what's health for Americans is like having Joe Camel on the committee designed to help people quit smoking. Then it says, the guidelines which continue to promote meat and dairy consumption take their toll on all Americans, but especially minorities. Did y'all hear what I just said? Yes. PCRM is calling on the USDA to acknowledge the disproportionate toll of that chronic diseases such as diabetes and prostate cancer exact among minorities, and to reverse the guidelines to help prevent these conditions. There's a big lawsuit going on about the food